Your next step is to create your arm adjust nut part. So I've started a new part Mastercam. I'll set the color I want to create my geometry in. I'll set my line thickness. And I'm going to start creating the geometry in the right plane. So I'm going to tell it, let's look at the right side. That'll set the construction plane to right as well. My Z is 0. And we'll create some lines. So I'll activate the line. Start here at the origin. Give my line the sense of direction and allow the horizontal line snap. Click to place the line. Come up here in the length field and make it 0.625 and press enter. I'm going to make this vertical line now, and its length is 0.625 minus 0.031. So we'll start here at this endpoint. We'll give it the sense of direction. And because I've given it the sense of direction, I don't need to put the negative in my equation. I can just put 0.625 minus 0.031 and press enter. I'll now go from here back in this direction. Again, I want to make a line that's 5/8 long. I've already entered 5/8, so it'll be in my drop-down menu. And I can apply that. So let's fit the geometry to the screen. Roll my middle mouse button to zoom out a bit. Now I'll start up here. Give it the sense of direction. But how long is this? The drawing's not the clearest, but this 3/8 slot is on center. So again, its length is an equation. And the equation is bracket 0.625 minus 0.375 bracket divided by 2, or 1/8. So I'm happy with that line. I can start from this endpoint. Now do a horizontal line. It will be 63 thou in length. Again, start from this endpoint. Give it the sense of direction. And this time we want a 3/8 line. Start from this endpoint. Give it the sense of direction. I want the 63 thou again, so I'll choose it from the drop-down menu. I can press enter. And my last line to close the geometry off and accept that. So right now, this is in my right plane. I want to extrude it for 1.25 inches. So to extrude it, I'm going to select X form, translate. I'll window select all of my entities. Press enter to end my selection. And in the delta X, I want to translate 1.25 inches. We'll enter 1.25. It's going the wrong direction. I want it to go the other way. So I'll flip it. I'll say OK. I can clear my screen colors now, or just continue and clear them later. The next step is create this little tab in the front view. I'm going to keep looking at my part isometrically. I'll fit the screen, and then zoom out a bit. So I want to switch my construction plane to the front. So I'll go Planes, Front, and I can see now my rectangle. It shows me I'm working in the front plane from here. I'm going to create a line 31 thou from the midpoint of this line. So we're going to activate line, snap to the midpoint, come straight down, and set its length to 31 thou, and accept that. Next, I'm going to use my line parallel. I'm going to select my little line, move to one side to give it a sense of direction, and the distance is half of 3/8, so we'll put the equation in up here, 0.375 divided by 2. Then I'll use these arrows to offset it in both directions. I'll accept that, and I don't need this line anymore, so I'll select it and delete it. I'll go back into create line endpoint, and I just want to create a line from here to here, and accept that. So now I can extrude this geometry for the length of the part of 5/8. So I'll select X form, translate, unselect that line, select the 3 lines I want to translate, end my selection. This time I want to go in the Y-axis, and the distance is 0.625. Okay. But because I'm in the front construction plane, the y-axis has changed. We can see it up here. Relative to the front, this is the y. How do I fix that? Well, let's go back to the isometric view, which switches the construction plane to top. And I'll say OK. Again, you can clear your colors if you want. And I want to do some trimming to make the part look proper. So I'm going to activate trim, use the divide function, and I'll remove this line and on that line and say I'm happy. I should save my part. So this is called arm adjust nut. Navigate to where you wish to save it and give it the name. Looks like I spelt it wrong. Oh well. So next I need to create some holes. I'm going to switch back to the front construction plane, but still look at it isometrically. And I want to change my Z depth, so I create these holes at this depth. Right click in the Z field, choose Z coordinate of a point, and choose any geometry at the proper depth. You'll notice I'm now at negative 63. Here's my 0, 0, so everything is going to be in quadrant 3. I have two holes symmetrical about the center of the part. Right, 3/4 of an inch in distance. I have several ways I can create this. So I'm going to start this time by creating some lines. And I'm going to create a line from the midpoint of this line to the midpoint of this line. And then I'm going to create a line from that midpoint horizontally in this direction, and I'll make its distance half of 3/4. So the distance will be 0.75 divided by 2. And then I'll do the same thing in this direction. So I'm creating geometry that I'm going to delete later. I'll say OK. So now I create my line at these endpoints. Sorry, my holes. So I need a circle. Size isn't too critical. I'm going to drill these 0.15 through and then tap them. So I'll create a 0.15 diameter circle. So I'm going to say create circle center point. I'll lock the diameter at 0.15 and say I want a hole there and a hole there and accept that. I no longer want these green lines, so I'll delete them. Selected everything I wish to delete. I'll press enter to stop my selection and delete the lines. I'll repaint everything to make sure it's good. And if I want, I can extrude these through the part as well. We'll go back to the isometric view, say XForm, translate, select my two entities, enter to end my selection. We want to go in the Y, and the distance, well, let's do an equation again. It's negative 0.625 plus 63. It's going the wrong way. Not a problem. Flip it. We'll say OK and have a look at our part. So back to our isometric view. I'm in the top plane. I want to switch my Z construction depth to the top, and I want to create this counterbore hole, diameter 0.438 in the center. So again, to make it easy, I'm going to create a line from the midpoint to the midpoint. I'm going to create a line. We'll unlock the size, and I want it starting at this midpoint, and its diameter is 0.438. I'll say OK. Delete my construction geometry. So I selected the line, press delete on the keyboard, and I'm going to translate this entity in my Z 1/4 inch. So we'll enter 0.25. We're using the join command. Flip the direction. Say OK. I'm going to set a new Z construction depth down here. Now I'm going to create a diameter 0.281 circle. So activate circle, and I want this to snap to the center of an arc. So at the center of this arc, I now have created a circle. Its diameter is 0.281. And I can accept that. And if I wish, I can translate it through the part. So I'll pre-select the geometry, choose X-form, translate. We're going to use the join. Again, I'm going in the Z, and I'll put in the equation. So 0.625 minus the 0.25 of the counter bore. I can click in another field and it'll calculate it. It's going the wrong direction. We'll flip it. We'll say OK. And my part is done. So I want to go back to the isometric view and save my part.